In 2015, there was a traffic jam on the Beijing highway that completely blocked the 50-lane highway. In 1980, the traffic jam on the French autoroute highway was so severe that vehicles were stuck for 175 kilometers from Paris to Lyon. It took several days to clear this traffic jam. Similarly, traffic jams have been happening in many parts of the world, including Brazil, Germany, and the United States, where there have been reports of vehicles being stuck for up to 12 days. But the traffic jam that I will talk about today will surely surprise you. This traffic jam did not last for a few days, weeks, or months, but lasted for an amazing 8 years. Welcome back to Past Empires videos. The world's longest and most difficult traffic jam was witnessed in the Swiss Canal, where ships and thousands of crew members were badly stranded for the next 8 years. It can take several days to clear a traffic jam on highways and expressways, but clearing the jam in the Swiss Canal was no small feat. Let's go to the interesting story of this unique and longest running traffic jam in history. We all know that the Swiss Canal is called the jewel of the shipping and trading industry. Before 1869, the industry did not have the gift of the Swiss Canal, so ships between Europe and Asia had to go all the way through the African continents to Europe. So this canal has changed this month's long journey of the shipping industry into days, and now ships from Europe can directly reach the Red Sea via the Mediterranean Sea and access the Asian continent. Using this route, each ship can carry about 10,000 tons of cargo. It saves kilometers of distance. In addition, many pirate gangs in African waters used to rob ships passing through here, among which the Somalian pirate and West African pirate are quite famous. These pirates used to forcibly stop ships and rob them of millions of dollars of goods, and also used to make the crew hostage and get their demands fulfilled. The Swiss Canal served to protect these ships from these pirates as well as from long distances. This is an incident. On the morning of June 5th, 1967, when 15 cargo ships entered the Suez Canal from the Mediterranean side, it normally takes 12 hours for ships to cross the canal, but they had no idea that their hour-long journey would take years. This was a time when there was already some tension between Egypt and Israel, and the two neighbors were preparing for war against each other. Now, if you look at the map, this line is the border between Israel and Egypt. The Suez Canal is very far from this border, about 200 kilometers away. This entire area is also called the Sinai Peninsula because they were very far from the border. That is why neither Egypt nor these 15 ships cared about the increasing tension with Israel. And on that day, something happened that the boiling lava from the tension boiled, and suddenly the war began. Israeli forces launched a surprise attack on Egypt within just an hour. Several rockets and planes were flying around this canal. The situation became so bad that the Egyptian forces immediately closed the Suez Canal on both sides. Fierce clashes continued for the next 6 days. But the Israeli forces succeeded in capturing the entire Sinai Peninsula. Now, the new border between Israel and Egypt had been formed, and the Suez Canal was the only thing that separated these two countries from each other. This was a very bad defeat for Egypt. To prevent the Israeli forces from crossing the canal and advancing further, Egypt stationed ships on both sides of the Suez Canal, destroyed its own bridges, and installed mines throughout the canal. The only reason for doing this was so that no one could use the canal except Israel. Meanwhile, 15 cargo ships were stranded in the Great Bitter Lake. The Egyptian army was to their west, while the Israeli forces were to their east. They could neither return to the Mediterranean nor to the Red Sea. In short, these ships had no option but to wait at the same location. In addition to them, there were several hundred other ships that were stopped in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. Everyone was hoping that the matter might be resolved, but the matter was getting more complicated. Days, weeks, and then months passed, but the tension between Egypt and Israel could not be resolved. The whole world was suffering from all this. Shipments were delayed and freight charges were increased many times over. Ships that used to use Suez to go from Europe to the Middle East and Asia now had to go around the African continent again. Due to this war, while the whole world was facing new challenges, 15 ships got stuck in traffic jams, and the crews on them were caught in their own trouble. There were also British, German, Swedish, Polish, French, Czech, Slovak, and American ships. After several months, when it became clear to them that this problem was not going to end so quickly, the shipping companies called back most of the crews. While only 10 people were left on each ship for maintenance every second or third month, this was 10 people. the group was also changed and a new group was sent, just in the hope that one day they might be able to get their stranded ships out of here. They stayed together for so long. The friendship grew in the group of 15 ships. They also arranged activities to get themselves out of this depression. A small church was opened on the German ship where all the Christians gathered every Sunday. Movie nights were arranged every day on the Bulgarian ship. Pool parties were held on the Swedish ship and football was played on the British ship. They even held the Children's Olympic Games here, which was called the Bitter Lake Olympics 1968. Year after year, these ships remained standing in the same place. Finally, a layer of mud had settled on them because they were neutral ships and had nothing to do with this war. That is why neither Israel nor Egypt had any objection to providing them with food and drink. After 6 years in 1973, this war ended. Once again, the conflict intensified, but this time the attack was initiated by Egypt. Egypt entered the Sinai Peninsula with all its might and pushed the Israeli forces deep inside. Both sides launched heavy attacks, but this time an Israeli rocket unintentionally hit the stranded American ship and it was destroyed and sunk. This week-long battle caused thousands of casualties on both sides. Finally, on October 24, 1973, a ceasefire agreement was reached between the two, and both countries began to withdraw their troops. The 6-year war was over, but for the ship stuck in the traffic jam, it was as if the war was still going on. In these 6 years, the debris of ships, planes, and rockets had been scattered inside the Swiss Canal. In addition, Egypt had also installed mines here. That is why it was still not possible for the ships to leave here. So it took Egypt the next 2 years to clean the canal thoroughly. June 5, 1975 was the day when the Swiss Canal was opened after 8 years. After living together for such a long time, it was now time for the 14 ships to leave the Swiss Canal. Finally, when she returned to her country, she was welcomed with great fanfare. After almost 8 years of being there, traffic in the Swiss Canal began to resume. Such a huge traffic jam had never happened before in history and has never happened since. On the other hand, relations between Egypt and Israel are improving. Israel returned the entire Sinai Peninsula to Egypt, and Egypt was the first Arab country to recognize Israel. I hope you will like and share this video of past empires. Thank you for all the loving comments. See you in the next wonderful video.